And by the way, some of you go like this. I saw somebody when I was talking to Farzetta going, wait, did Sileo say that dual threat wins and works? No. I said dual threat doesn't last long. It doesn't have a high ceiling. And if you play that way, you're not playing long. It's a short window. You don't have a long period of time. That's why Mahomes can't play like that last night every game. He can't. He won't last. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. However, Hurts is not as talented as that guy to win from the pocket. Not saying there's anyone else. But that's how Jalen has to win a game like last night. Because if he doesn't, I think he's a dude. And some go, he's going to get better as a passer. Okay, well, wake me up in 3 years. Because last year was a train wreck, especially down the stretch. Okay? You're taking shots at the man Jalen who doesn't. Okay, all right, Anthony. I don't really care too much about him either. I'm just talking of football here. I don't have a relationship with him. He doesn't have a relationship with me. I don't really care. Okay, that's not my deal here. I don't sit here and have relationships with players. That's not important to me. Okay? Once again, I don't think Brock Purdy played horribly last night. I thought he played well. I think Kyle Shanahan, once again, got away from the run game, especially midway through the third. I think once Mahomes took off running in the second half, it changed the dynamic of that defense for Spagnuolo. They had to adjust. And they started scoring. Some of the play designs that Andy had. And I'm going to tell you this before I bring Tone on, and I'm going to agree with this because Tone has brought this up and some of you have. That's not the same play caller that was in Philly. Okay? That's not the same play caller. Let's bring our friend Tone in.
Big Skills, how you feeling today, sir?
All good, my friend.
Awesome.
Your takeaways from the Super Bowl last night.
That Chiefs defense is the best defense in the NFL. The best defense in the NFL. This is why. And I wouldn't have said this. I already thought they were great, but I wouldn't have said this until Rob pointed something out to me. Did you know throughout their playoff run this year, they knocked out the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the 49ers? Did you know those four teams are ranked in the top 5 in scoring? And they held those four teams to a combined average of 15 points per game. That's the number one defense in the NFL. Because
who was more impressive than you last night, Andy or Spags?
Spags impressed me because of what he had to go up against. The way that 49ers offense was being talked about all year, the way they've been performing, how lethal they were. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, that offensive line led by Trent Williams, Brock Purdy executing at a high level with that play caller and Kyle Shanahan, the way they were dismantling teams in their conference and other teams across the NFL. That team was considered to be one of the most talented teams we've seen play in the NFL. And to see that Chiefs defense, and granted, they bent a lot in that game. They bent a lot.
I thought the 49ers had them. I thought for 3.5 quarters, if you turn the volume down, the Niners were the better team.
They were dominating them at the point of attack. I will say that. But I'll say this. If you pay attention to that scoreboard quarter by quarter, you'll say to yourself, wow, the Chiefs are actually on schedule. You know what's so funny? I was talking to my wife about it when the game was going on. And she was like, damn, this thing is kind of ugly. It's kind of boring right now. And this was after the first quarter ended.
Yeah.
I said, listen here. What does that score say? She said 0-0. I said, the Chiefs are on schedule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I you know what? It's funny, Tone. I said the same thing to my wife. I go like this. She's like, damn, no points. I go, yeah, that's not 49ers had to score first, but they had to put touchdowns on the board, not
Correct.
field goals. And when you looked up, you would have swore they had a 14-point lead. When you looked up, they only had at one time in the first half a 3-point lead. Then they had the 10-point lead. But I thought they should have had a 14-point lead, or at least like a 17-point lead going into half. And when that thing ended up like that, I go, this is playing right into these guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so astonished by the talent on that Chiefs defense. And we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. That's the low-hanging fruit to me. If you really think about what they did with that defense over, throughout the Patrick Mahomes era, at first they were carried by their offense. They had some talent sprinkled in on defense, but they were carried by their offense. But the way they rebuilt that defense with a bunch of young guys, and they drafted very well, and to have Spagnuolo coaching those guys up and making sure he's putting those guys in position, you had to tip your hat. You had to tip your hat to that. I mean, you held the Niners to 10 points in the first half. You ended up only being down 7 points at halftime. How could I ever say to myself, oh, yeah, the Niners are dominating this game? And look, you're right. At the point of attack at the line of scrimmage, they were dominating the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs lived behind the sticks all game. The Chiefs, so often in that game, we saw them 2nd and 12, 3rd and 15, 2nd and 15, 1st and 15 because of penalties. Yes, because of penalties, because of brain farts by the players. Remember, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he passed in the fourth quarter and he broke a tackle, but ended up losing yards.
Yep.
Instead of taking the 5 that he received. And somehow, some way, they bounced back from that. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is spectacular. I love football, right? And look, I'm an Eagles fan, but that's not what we're talking about right now. I love good football. And Patrick Mahomes, he didn't win that game with a hammer. He didn't win that game with a chainsaw. He won that game with a scalpel. And he just surgically dismantled that 49ers defense in that second half. And you got to tip your hat off to him. He's one of the best we've ever seen.
I just thought that the way, if you ever want to see how defense is to be run and how you see an offensive guy with a feel for the game, intermingling analytics and play calling, when they started running design plays, you even heard Romo go like this. They didn't do that all year. Correct. In one game. But because those backers, like Warner was playing like his freaking hair was on fire.
Yeah.
He was such a dominant player in that game last night. It was incredible the way he played. And by the way, note to Howie. Shows you what good linebacker play can give you, too, on both sides of the football, because it was on display by both football teams last night.
Mm-hmm. George Kittle was a non-factor. George Kittle was who would have thought?
And Gay was on him.
Yep, Gay.
That's the guy I want in Philly.
Yep. That's the guy you and I have been talking about, because he's I don't want to say, I don't like using the word cheap, but he's a cost-effective linebacker.
Yeah.
That can do the job competently, right?
$6.5 million you can have him.
Exactly. Signing Drew Tranquil in the offseason for the Chiefs, slam dunk. And also, their safeties don't get enough credit. Their safeties do their job. I mean, Trent McDuffie at the corner position had Deebo Samuel on life support. He was locked down. He couldn't do anything. Deebo Samuel had 11 targets, and only 3 catches. That's insane to me.
No, that's the guy I wanted the Eagles to draft in 21.
And I'll be fair to your point about that. To your point about Trent McDuffie, and I'll say it. I'll be completely transparent.
Everyone thought he was too small.
I felt like he was too small. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm not gonna pretend like I was high first.
Hey, I thought Devontae Smith
was too small.
I thought Devontae Smith was too meek, and I didn't think he'd hold up too. So, hey, man, I could go in the other end. I was wrong on that, but I wanted him and the kid down in Jacksonville with those 2 first picks.
I wanted Devin Lloyd. I talked about Devin Lloyd all offseason.
That's who I wanted. I wanted him, and I wanted McDuffie, because I saw how good that kid was up at Washington, and I'm like, man. And then I started looking at the size, and I'm like, damn. But watching him play last night with Snead,
he played
those
big.
guys were everywhere.
McDuffie played big. Of course you saw it, but I mean, remember the game? I mean, not game saving, the touchdown saving swat by McDuffie in the back of the end zone on Debo. It was he plays so big. He understands leverage. He understands when to get physical, when not to get physical. He knows how to attack the ball at the catch point. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is only going to get better. They're so young, and I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the ball. I mean, it's unbelievable. You got to tip your hat off to it. It's just great football. You got listen. If you're a legitimate football fan, everything you saw last night was football. To the highest degree. It was amazing.
2 stats stick out in this game from last night. I said this on Friday. If the Chiefs and Pacheco run for over 120 yards, they're going to win the ball game.
We talked about that. Yep.
And they had 130. And I'm going to tell you this. Mahomes playing dual threat last night was the difference in the game.
It changed the entire complexion. I mean, the
that
first half.
66 yards, Tone, was more important than the 333, in my opinion, because that 66 yards kept him in 3rd and short in the second half. Where, like you said in the first half, they were 3rd and 12, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. But in the second half, they were 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3. They kept the sticks closer because that 66 yards and the way he played reminded me so much of Jalen Hurts in Super Bowl 57.
Yeah, I speak about Jalen Hurts all the time, in terms of I want Jalen Hurts to play the best version of his brand of football. The best version of his brand of football. Now, whatever Kellen Moore provides, it's going to be wait and see. It's going to be wait and see. I have no idea what he's going to have him doing. But what I need to see Jalen Hurts getting back to his version of football. Now, I will say this, though, right? You said something really interesting. The Chiefs, they didn't run Mahomes like that until that game.
Absolutely not.
Right. And, he was playing to win the game. And in situations like that, in high leverage playoff games, you want to empty the gas tank, right?
They sure did.
So I look at it like this in terms of Jalen Hurts, and try to follow me here. And if you agree, disagree, whatever, I just want to I just want to pick your brain on this. When it comes to Jalen Hurts and helping and trying to figure out how he should navigate an NFL season in terms of health, in terms of how he plays a position. To be fair and to be honest, I don't know if I want Jalen Hurts emptying the gas tank in week 4. You know what I mean?
That's the only way he'll beat Mahomes.
But here's the thing. No, hear me out. I said week 4. But when you get into the playoffs, because look, I want Jalen Hurts to play his brand. Don't get it twisted. But I also want him to play smart football. But once you get to the playoffs, I'm all for emptying the gas tank. See, Jalen Hurts' running ability, I don't want it to be a crutch. I want it to be an asset. I want it to be something that adds and not something that takes away. I want it to be something that helps and not something he leans on. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I think, to your point, he's going to be at his best playing his style. But they have to find a way to help him make it through an entire NFL season, so that style can help them get to the playoffs. And I think that's where my mindset is.
I
don't want to change him.
Balance.
I'm looking more of a 55-45, like a 60-40. I'm trying to his style is so dangerous. Once he gets into the playoffs, it's almost indefensible, like you said in that Super Bowl matchup with the Chiefs and the Niners. So I want Jalen Hurts to play his brand at all times. Yes. I want him to be smart. Yes. But I don't want him risking it all in week 3.
He's not good enough right now as a quarterback to just pick and choose his moments like that. 11 wins is not going to cut it. Okay? 11 wins is going to cut it in Kansas City because that guy can pick and choose his moments. He's not good enough yet. Now, again, Will Jalen Hurts develop? Like you've been saying, Tone. See, I think the biggest problem with Philly fans and with the Eagles themselves, they're rushing this kid's fucking development. Let him get better. Get him quality coaches. Let him have a process. Give him, look, I think his 3 years starting, if you put everything on a piece of paper and put it in front of you, has been exceptional. If the whole thing, you put it all, hey, look, if you're looking at a microcosm of 1-8 or 1-7, and you're looking at that, you're not looking at, like I like to say, the entire story. Like you said, that growth level from 21 to 22. Now, was that an anomaly? That's my position. Is that an anomaly? Or is that something we're going to see? Because I remember telling everyone, Jalen Hurts may only grow 2% this year. And that will be a lot. Because, Tone, once you start getting up towards the top end, if you're getting better 2% every year over 5 years, and you're getting yourself better over 5 years, you're 10% better than you were 5 years ago,
Right.
You're continuing to grow and get better. I think what they have to do, and I hear you, it's why I say that style of play, Mahomes can pick and choose. I think Josh Allen can pick and choose.
Yeah, I think so more so as well. Yeah, I think so too.
I think he can pick and choose his moments.
Yeah, the only difference is Josh Allen doesn't want to pick and choose. He just wants to just go all out.
That's
his
why I think he has I don't think he has the right coach, because he has to have a coach in that building.
Now, Joe Brady, I will say that may be his saving grace. Joe Brady, it may be his saving grace, because he definitely reeled them in that second half of the season, and it changed everything for him.
If Andy Reid was his coach, what do you think Josh Allen would look like?
That? What we saw last night?
That.
The talent is there. See, with Josh Allen, we don't talk about talent. It's not even the case with him. It's just it's upstairs with him. It's all upstairs.
What you're saying about Jalen. You're like this, Sills, empty the tank in the postseason, but they didn't.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they didn't even have any gas going into the postseason.
I mean, did he run the ball in the Tampa game?
That's a good question. Let's double check that. I don't think he did.
Did he even run the ball?
That's a really good question. I really don't think he did.
Him. Right. I
know what you mean. Him. I got you. Him. And wow, this is about to be an indictment on this coaching staff. Jalen Hurts ran the ball one time in that playoff game for 5 yards.
And
that's
the complete Super Bowl.
He ran it like 11. 12
9.
For like 70, 9 for like 70.
Mahomes had I'm talking Mahomes.
Oh, Mahomes.
Mahomes had 9 carries for 66 yards last night.
Right, longest
basically 5.5 yards a carry last night.
Yep, longest run of the day was the 22-yard backbreaker.
Hey, Tone, if Jalen Hurts is my starting quarterback and that's decision management makes, I'm not getting away from 22. I'm getting closer to it and standing on the sun with it.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I don't hear. And I agree with you. I don't know what it's going to look like. Kellen Moore may change his entire approach and have somebody in there help him. However, I want to see that. I got more question marks about Kellen Moore than I do Jalen Hurts.
Right. Let me ask you a question real quick, right? Because you played the game. When a new coordinator comes in, right? Walk me through their process when it comes to familiarizing themselves with the talent that's already on the roster. Do they rewatch all the film from the previous seasons or two, and then they try to mirror that and try to make it their own? Like, well, what's that process like? I mean, I don't know if you can fill me in on that, but what's that process when a new coordinator comes in and he's trying to familiarize himself with the talent on the roster he's been given?
Okay, let me first give you from a player, then I'll give you from a coach looking into the player. As a player, what would you think would be the most important thing right away that you would have to know when you have a new coach coming in with a brand new playbook? Not his version of the playbook that he's going to run. Terminology. Now, wide gap might be different to him than a 3 technique gap or a shade or in a 43. Do you want me head up? Do you want me in a 3? Do you want me in a wide 7? all these terminologies. Is it a twist to you, or is it a Ringo stunt? So all those words, it's almost like knowing French and then learning Italian. Okay, so you first have to know what he's talking about. Then what you do is you look at the playbook, because, Tone, you could have the same play written down. He has a different terminology on what a jet sweep is, and he could call it something completely different on an offensive guy saying it. So the terminology, and then alignment. What is your alignments in these fronts, 43, 34, bear front? You have to get the basics down, know where they're going. So the first thing is, and then it's player retention. You're sitting there looking, sometimes, Tone, when you change a defense up like that, the coordinator comes in and may do this. Well, let me change my terminology, because why would I change? This is the good ones. Why would I? And this is what Fangio had a problem with down in Miami, from what I'm told. He came in with his terminology. Half the players didn't know what the heck he was talking about. The good coordinators come in and go, let me change because why would I change half the roster and make it harder on them? This isn't about me. It's about them. I'm hoping Vic does that. And if not, we're going to have a problem in communication. So we'll see in OTAs, we'll see in mini camps, and then we'll get to training camp. That's why when you say we'll see, I want to know what that. Remember, is he going to change, or do the players have to change?
Right.
I don't want to change 11 players thinking
it's easier to change one guy than to change 11 guys. That's a good point.
Let me see, but that's the problem with the Eagle management. Sometimes the coaches think the players are there for them, and that's not what makes a good coach. So you start from there. Then you get into team meetings, and then he comes up with a concept. We're going to run the same stuff. We wanted to keep control and contain. You're not going to see a lot different. We're just going to do some things differently in alignment. And what Vic is going to bring to what Desai and Matt Patricia couldn't bring, he's a better field pressure guy. And he's better at that because he's got a feel for the game. You see that thing last night? It was seamless, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way those guys were calling both sides of the ball, didn't you feel? You felt if you were a player on that field for the Chiefs on both sides, and then you look at the way the Niners were playing in the second half, a little tight, offsides, illegal procedures. You saw a little bit of giving it up on defense on the other side. But when you were with Kansas City, and I heard you say this, it was like overly patient. That's what they're hammering in those players. Keep steady, hang in there, hang in there.
You saw it.
It
was so evident. It was so evident how patient Reed was, which is his play calling and what he wanted to accomplish. I mean,
but you know why you can accomplish that? Because you've won 2 already. You see, the problem with the Eagle players, when they started seeing Desai and those guys start to melt down, they had no faith in it, and they didn't believe in it. But when you got a coordinator in your face, and it's in the third quarter, fourth quarter of a Super Bowl, and the coordinator and your position coach is going, keep calm, we got this, keep calm, and you're sitting there going, okay, because you know why? They're going to put you in a position to succeed because we have.
Yeah.
And plus I have 15. 15 also, Tone, as a defender.
It helps.
I'll tell you. I know this. I can give up a touchdown, and we can give up a big play, and 15 is going to throw us back into the game.
But
so that also helps too, knowing that it's a mental thing too.
Yeah, and also it helps knowing that, look, it's 15. He did his thing, but if that defense doesn't stand tall, give him those opportunities that they did. I mean, first drive. Let's just start there.
They created 3 and outs.
Yeah, they created 3 and outs, but also first drive, right? Quite literally, the Niners were cutting through their defense, no problem. But they get into that red zone,
I
And
couldn't believe McCaffrey put the ball on the
I
ground.
couldn't believe they got that ball out of McCaffrey's hands.
I could not believe it. I said, Jesus Christ, and they're dominating them. And when he put that ball on the ground, I was like, man, I'll tell you what, if you're going to go tit for tat for turnovers, they're going to beat you, dude. You can't do that.
You know what I said to myself? I was talking to my wife. I said, hey, baby. She was like, what? I said, mistake number one.
Yep.
Mistake number one.
They were just like the Eagles. And watch this, Tone. Tell me this didn't remind you of this. Mistakes with the turnovers and a special teams play. Gee, what game does that remind you of?
It was so close to the outside of the
3-point
scorecard.
difference,
it was so close. Listen, man.
The whole thing was played
it.
exactly what you said when you went like this. How'd you feel about the first half? The game, they almost took last year's game plan, and it looked exact. How about those routes they were running to confuse the secondary of the 49ers?
The game-winning touchdown was the same. The game-winning touchdown was the same play that they ran against the Eagles in last year's Super Bowl. The same route. That motion, and then he zigs. And then he zigs back.
Dude, when that guy went like this,
the moment he motioned, he took
the moment he looked in and then stepped in, I looked at my wife. I go, over.
Gang. Hey, what do you always do? Gang.
Game.
That's exactly what it was.
Dude, that thing, I go, oh my God, he's got him, because he was going to play from behind. When he looked in, but get this, Tone.
He should have never moved.
But listen.
It's hard.
I know. Then they cut down underneath. And he comes underneath and then goes out and still roll. Dude, it was such a well-designed play. And you're 3 years watching this coaching staff and with Nick and everyone, have you ever seen a design play of anything of that magnitude? Even with Steichen, have you seen anything that creative where they have created something like that for Hurts?
In 2022, there was a moment in the Steelers game when the Eagles were dominating the Steelers, right? But this is before the score got a hand. There was a moment when Shane Steichen called an RPO, and Dallas Goedert broke to the flat, and Jalen Hurts threw him the ball. Right? Remind you, Zach Pascal in the slot is there as a block, kind of the chip, or kind of be like a screen guy, right? Threw the ball to Dallas Goedert. Goddard caught the ball on the flat, took it 10, 15 yards or whatever, if I'm not mistaken, right? Steichen ran the exact same play, but here's the difference. Instead of throwing the ball to Goddard, and instead of Zach Pascal coming in to, pick the defender, Zach Pascal faked the pick, ran a wheel route up the sideline. Dallas Goedert became the blocker. Zach Pascal wide open for a touchdown. That was the most creative play I've seen. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my most favorite sequences, during that time, because they ran the exact same play and they set it up. It was, you saw your coordinator thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 plays ahead. And in 2023, we didn't see our coordinator or our head coach thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 plays ahead. It seemed like they were quite literally on a play-by-play basis. It looked like they were just trying to stay above water on each play.
Andy and Spags were setting people.
They were setting things up. They were planting landmines throughout the game
for later in the game. Even.
Yes. That RPO on 4th and 1, they plant that landmine. Everybody, here's the thing about the Niners. This is what makes the Niners so great. They use your leverage against you.
Yep.
The Chiefs, that's not really their style, but in that moment, they used the Niners' leverage against them. It was almost like they beat them with their own best punch in that moment. And you got to give credit to Andy Reid, for just being the football mind that he is. Got to give credit to Steve Spagnuolo for being the football mind he is. But Patrick Mahomes, again, just remaining poised in that moment. And like you said, there's a certain calm when you see that team play, because you can see the assurance that they have in 15. You can see the comfort they have in Andy Reid and in Spags. They have no doubt in their minds that they can beat anybody.
I just wish he would have taken more advantage of Andy
Far,
Reid.
far as he said it best, though, he didn't care enough about winning, and he wasn't mad enough about losing. He said it best.
You know, and Tone, it's no longer. I agree with you about the 14 years. I do. I thought last night though, when I saw Reid hoist that Lombardi Trophy, I'm like, what if 5 had absorbed more of it and was more? I mean,
He
you
was
have to
stubborn.
think. I would think this if I'm watching my coach do the things, and I'm not saying Donovan is as good as Mahomes.
I
I'm
know
not
that's not what
saying
you're
that,
saying. I got you. You
but
don't got to
not
explain that.
one. You
Listen,
couldn't win one with
you
him.
had 5 cracks at it.
You had
And you
5
couldn't get one.
cracks,
You couldn't
and
get
you
one.
didn't want to really go the distance and the extra mile. Like, get this. When they trade, and I think this is a prime example of it. Andy had to go and get Owens,
Mm-hmm.
brings him in for him. And that thing exploded. It worked 1 year and it exploded. Andy takes away Owens / Tyreek Hill. That quarterback responds and says, what do I need to do to make sure we don't miss a beat? That to me is not, I'm not even talking about ability here, Tone. I'm talking about the difference in mentality.
I was just about to say, you're talking
That
about
guy
responding.
right there went like this. Holy cow. He took my security blanket away. And there they gave him one, and Andy gave 5 a security blanket. Couldn't deal with it. Mahomes goes, and I think he relied more on Andy to get him home. And I think the relationship with Mahomes and Andy Reid, the reason that those two guys have 2 Super Bowls in the last 2 years, because he had to have faith that guy. Remember we were talking about Brady and Josh Allen when he only threw 14 passes and they beat the Cowboys up there and he only had 7 completions. Damn, I don't have to throw the ball 35 times for 500 yards. Holy cow. This guy's right. And they went on an epic run at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that if you're McNabb and you watched that last night, you have to think what could have been for him. I'm talking about him personally.
Of course.
What could have been for him if he had just been more open to that guy's coaching. Now, I know Andy's better. You agree he's better?
Yeah, but Andy was good enough to get to 5 NFC championships. So at that time, I would say he was great as well. So look, McNabb was stubborn. He was stubborn as hell. And he felt like he was. I don't know if this is an accurate comparison, but I'm gonna do it anyway. He kind of reminded me of Carson Wentz. A know-it-all.
A better Carson Wentz.
Yeah, a better, more healthy Carson Wentz. A know-it-all. Guys who felt like he hasn't figured out. See, here's the problem with McNabb, in my humble opinion. And look, I was young at that time, but look, I listened a lot to my OGs talking about the game at that time. And all I kept hearing was they crowned him too early. Chunky soup, Campbell's soup. You know what I mean? He ripping and running out of here. You know, it's he felt like, in my opinion, now always moved somebody over something. And I just felt like he didn't take advantage of the opportunities he was given. He was stubborn. His game, like Asante Samuel said it. He said he came to the team and he saw McNabb throwing dirt worms, like just throwing duds. And Andy was, and Asante went to Andy saying, "Hey, Andy, I mean, look, I don't mean no disrespect, but we gotta check in with this dude. I don't know if he's as locked in as we all are." And Andy, and this is Asante's story. Asante says that he said to him, "Well, listen, I'll let you guys police yourselves. I'll let the veterans police other veterans, all that kind of stuff." And Asante was like, "Wait, what? You want me to go say something to him? I just got here." So I think Andy has gotten better with the people part of it as well. To your point about the relationship with Mahomes, Andy and McNabb's relationship doesn't get talked about enough. But I'm willing to argue that it wasn't anywhere as complete or stable as his relationship is with Mahomes.
Absolutely. I completely agree. What was your takeaway on the Travis Kelce situation on the sidelines there with Andy?
I'll put it real simple. If Travis Kelce was Trayvon Kelce, he he would have felt the wrath of the NFL. Let's just make it clear. If Travis Kelce looked like me,
So we're gonna do this in reverse order. Okay.
I'm just, you know, and that's, and look, because, like, I didn't like it. I felt like not the time and the place.
Can I tell you what my wife said first before you continue?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I go like this. I'm not penalizing. She goes, yeah, that's a white guy talking. And I went like this. She goes like this. Man, if that was a black guy, they'd ran the guy out of the league. You know that. And I go, the refs don't have anything to say about on the sideline stuff like, because that's, again, you're talking like a white guy. Make sure you don't embarrass yourself. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
And let me make it clear. I wouldn't have benched him, by the way. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
that's where I'll tell
I'm
you
not
what,
benching
I'm gonna
him
kick
'cause I
his
need
ass
him.
next year at the ceremony, like on Thursday night.
Yeah.
He's not playing, he's not starting, whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm not penalizing the other 52
I need
guys.
him. This is the Super Bowl.
Right. That's not
Like,
happening. However, I'm not condoning it. He
Right.
took advantage of his relationship with Andy. He's immature. It was a meltdown situation. And to me, again, it was just unprofessional. And I didn't appreciate it. And then again, no, Twiz, it's not race baiting. Because you know this, black athletes are covered differently in this country than white athletes. Stop pretending.
Anyone who just says stuff like that, I already know where their head
It's
is.
a white guy.
You know, it's crazy. And look, I'll even throw him some bell, right? If Travis was just vocal with him, I wouldn't have had an issue with it, because guys get emotional. He wants the ball.
Put his hands on him.
He put his hands on him, and that's my problem.
It is
Not him getting in his face. My problem is him putting his hands on him. And let's not pretend if AJ Brown put his hands on Nick Sirianni. Come on, man. What? Y'all killed AJ Brown for talking spicy to Jalen Hurts. Imagine if he put his hands on Nick Sirianni. It'd be imagine if he lost that.
The media would have handled that.
How do you think the national media would have handled it?
Oh, it would have been
a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Thank God they won that game last night.
Yeah, because it turned out to not be a storyline.
That would have been Sills. That would have been damning. Damning. We would have been talking about Travis Kelce trade rumors all of a sudden. It would have got crazy.
They're not getting rid of that guy.
I know that. But you see like that's where the media takes things.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it at all.
But you see Andy diffuse it.
I like Andy almost didn't even acknowledge it.
He laughed at it.
Yeah. Right. And even in the moment, Andy was not even making eye contact with him. Andy stumbled and went right back to coaching.
No. When he was asked a question at the podium, he laughed at it. But I guarantee
Oh, okay, yeah.
Behind the scenes, his position coach is going to go to him
mm-hmm.
and go like this. Don't ever do that again.
When all the champagne wears off, trust me.
That's right.
They on his ass.
When after the parade, you're going to get in that room. And you know what sometimes the head coach doesn't say? You know who the bad guy is? The bad guy's the assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to walk in there and go, hey, man, you owe that guy an apology.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't have to be public, but you need to walk in there and tell that guy. And I wouldn't doubt that he hasn't.
Right. I'm pretty sure he's already apologized. I'm pretty sure he already has. And look, it's not an indictment on his character. I want to make that clear. So you got some people saying, oh, Travis Kelce, I knew he was a bum. I knew he was a toxic trash human. I'm not saying that. No, I don't think Travis Kelce is a bad dude at all. I feel like his emotions got the better of him.
It did.
You know, the team in that moment. If you pay attention to that, to that series, the team was kind of unraveling a little bit, but they reeled it back in. Chris Jones had to talk to the defense. Mahomes had to talk to the offense. That Chiefs team was getting a little beside themselves a little bit. So again, I'm not saying Travis Kelce is a bad dude. Look, players get emotional. It's football. Guys get emotional. It's the biggest game of their lives. Guys get emotional. You can yell all you want, but don't put your hands on the coach, man. That's where he lost me. Don't put your hands on him. Because look, Andy Reid almost fell. Like seriously.
That would have been
Andy Reid almost fell.
That would have been a nightmare.
He
knocked the coach over on the sideline. Exactly. You might have been sent to the locker room.
That's what I'm saying. So we can't just pretend like that was a nothing burger. We can't. That's something. But they won the game. So, and that's the perfect example of what winning cures all.
Absolutely. All right. What'd you think of Usher's performance?
Oh, Usher was in his bag, man. Usher had me in the crib acting out of character. Like that thing was fly, man. It was like It was like the Cirque du Soleil strip club. I mean, it was lights. It was
Dude, I mean, I love them too. Outside the groping of Alicia Keys.
man. Listen, I
Hey,
don't know.
man. Now, look, I'm with you. When she took that thing off and she was in that red gear, I was like, damn, she lost weight. She looks great. And I was like this, and he's all up on it, man. I was like, holy cow, man. I thought I could have swore I saw her push him away one time when they were in doing it there. I was like, dude, he was so good, but I was like, somebody's going to jump on stage. I thought she was going to smack his ass.
Man, Usher, see, the good thing is they got a relationship, thank God. But Usher been in the news a lot lately because he's been, he has that residency in Vegas.
Yeah.
So a lot of celebrities, a lot of stars been going to them shows, and sometimes they bring their girlfriends, and sometimes the superstars bring their boyfriends, and all of a sudden, he gets his R&B bag. You know what I mean?
It was like a snake.
My man took the shirt off
last night, man.
It was fly though, man. I gotta admit that thing was fly last night.
No, he was good. He was
one of the best halftime shows I've seen in a while.
Yep.
Usher, he played all the hits. Like I said, it was like a Cirque du Soleil strip club, beautiful woman. He brought out the roller skates, electric guitar riffs. I mean, Ludacris came out.
Little bit of Honor
John came out. It was fly. It was fly, man.
Yeah, man. I think Apple
can't
did
deny
a good job at that thing.
Definitely.
What'd you make of the commercials? I'll tell you my favorite. My favorite was when I saw Apollo Creed.
Oh,
and
I missed
I
that
saw
one.
Carl Weathers. And when I saw Carl Weathers, the rest of them, I was like this. I'd love to be. I kind of like, because I'll tell you what, man, I won't lie to you. That Beyonce, man, she looked great, man. She was so in that commercial. And then when they showed her and they took a shot of her in the booth and in the suite, I was like, damn. Man, that's another one of those chicks, man. The older she gets, the better looking she gets.
Hey, Sills, I'm talking peanut butter thick.
Yeah.
Peanut butter,
that's
baby.
my kind of girl, man.
Nutella,
okay.
Peanut butter thick, Jiffy.
Yeah, man. I like that trampoline, if you know what I mean. Oh, man. I did. I thought Vegas did a nice job with the Super Bowl, man.
They did, man. They did a hell of a job. I heard nothing but great things. They did a hell of a job, man. The presentation, the aesthetic, the lights, just the vibe, the energy. It was awesome, man. I can't deny it. They did a hell of a job. One of my favorite commercials though was the Dunkin' Donuts Ben Affleck.
I like that one
with
too.
Matt Damon, with Tom Brady.
Hey, did you say? How about what's her name at the end? Hey, Tom, you could stay.
Tom, you could stay. And, the Christopher Walken commercial was good too. Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was fly. I liked it, man. It was good.
End.
Everything worked out last night, man. It was good. It was a good Super Bowl Sunday.
You know what's crazy is that I thought for sure, man, we were going to get some players out after night. We're going to have some issues like we always have with players
in Vegas,
Nothing
right?
Nothing happened last night, man. Everything was was a really good week of NFL football. It was a great year. I'll tell you what, Tone. This is the craziest thing about the NFL, which shows you the power of the league. Mm-hmm. This is the first year without Tom Brady. And they had all-time record ratings.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They had all-time record ratings. They put on one of the best Super Bowls on the planet. It shows you where these other sports, and I got a note for the NBA. Hey, don't do the trading deadline Super Bowl week. That's not a great idea.
That's idiotic. That's idiotic.
I mean, you know what? I didn't even remember when the baseball awards came out. I'm like, don't do that stuff 18 miles or 18 months after the season's over, because nobody thinks you're relevant. The NFL has a market on a calendar, and they know how to use a sports calendar. Here's what's coming up. Watch. Free agency, the combines, the draft, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, season. I mean, doesn't basketball or the Major League Baseball, don't they know how to use a sports calendar?
Here's their problem. They're too married to their sports calendar. They're afraid to move things around. They believe their product is whatever it is. And my thing is this, right? If I was the NBA commissioner and I knew the Super Bowl was that week, whatever, I would say, hey, listen, you guys, the memo. Trade deadline's been extended to the following week.
Yeah.
Who's going to stop me? I'm the commissioner.
Right.
I'm doing it. I'm not competing with that. It's about ratings. It's about money. And the NBA better start realizing that. That's why the NFL is the most lucrative league in all of America, in the world, because they understand money. They know what it takes to make that dough, and they don't care what they got to do.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one final question now.
All right, let's do it.
As a Eagle fan,
you better test me here. What's going on?
Watching that game last night, knowing what happened to your team, and watching the 49ers lose that game, were you happy? Were you not happy? Were you happy for Mahomes and Andy? Were you glad that you went, we may have shit the bed at the end of the year, but as long as Dallas and San Francisco are nowhere to be seen on that Lombardi platform, I'll take the consolation prize, at least on that. And I'll walk out of the fair with my doll, and I'll go home with it as long as those two SOBs don't win it. All right. Look at this guy. He's coming to the table here. Look at this. Okay.
Hey, Niner fans, that shit hurt, don't it?
And they lost the same way.
It hurts, don't it? That's
my God.
Never enough.
That's
never enough.
That's fantastic. Hey, listen, man. I love Eagle fans are the best because they do this. All right, we didn't win. We're the Cowboys. Well, shit, you got crushed by the Packers. Well, shit, you got crushed by the Bucks. Hey, we played our worst ball. You were playing your best ball.
I put it
always put it that. You could always go like this, Tone.
Look,
hey, man, we had a meltdown. And get this, you walk backwards into the NFC East. No shit. We had a horrible season and we won 11 games. You had a great season and won 12.
Right, exactly. And here's
the
thing,
bounced.
Right? Another thing about them Eagles, it was trending that way. So it was so the fall was easier for me to handle because it was trending that way. But man, seeing Deebo Samuel on that sideline, looking like somebody stole his chain. Oh my man.
Would you make a Fletcher trolling him?
Oh my God, I love Fletcher Cox. I
got me one of these. How about you?
He told my man, look, Fletcher is so funny. He said, I've been holding on to this for so long. I got something that you don't got. Next time, keep the Eagles at your mouth, boy. Eat a, you know what? He told my man to eat a.
Yeah. Hey, what is that? Eat a cucumber?
Yeah. Go eat a cannoli.
Yeah, right. Eat a cannoli, man, with extra nuts in it. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, with extra nuts in it too, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes,
Tell
sir,
them good
man.
stuff, man. It was
always,
a great
sir.
Super Bowl. You know what? I would say this to you about your Eagles on the way out here. I think this is going to be one of the most interesting off seasons in the last 3 years, or maybe since Doug, that the Eagles have had, because there's so many decisions to be made and there's so many things that they have to fix that the Niners, there's not going to be they don't have a lot of money and they don't have a lot of holes. I don't know what their story is. Hey, by the way, real quick, you think Purdy's the future?
I don't not think he's the future, but at the same time, I'm curious to know how they view it, because they're funny about their quarterback position. And sometimes they can have wandering eyes at that position, the Niners, in my opinion. They can have wandering eyes. Remember when Jimmy G, he made it to the Super Bowl, but he didn't win. All of a sudden, hey, could Tom go there, or could Aaron Rodgers go there? They have wandering eyes at that position. So they love him now, but do they love him enough to commit long term?
So you think John Lynch and them are doing, damn, look at that.
Just saying. Just saying. But look, I think Purdy did not play awful. He did not play bad.
No.
He didn't hurt them, in my opinion. Did he have moments where I felt like he should have executed better? Sure. But I don't think he hurt them.
I think he's limited.
And also, we got to give credit to that defense. They made him very uncomfortable in that second half.
Dude, that offensive line and all them penalties that they had in timely situations. Even Trent Williams.
I can't even blame. Like, I know Kyle Shanahan is clearly known for choking away big games, but when I was watching that game, I wasn't sitting there saying, "Damn, Kyle, you're blowing this." I was looking at it like, "Yo, the players are blowing this."
Yeah, no. I thought the Chiefs took it.
Yeah. Yes.
I thought they took it from him. Hey, Chase Young made some money last night.
Did he ever? That market value just jumped up maybe about 3 or 4 million.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was saying when me and you were bringing it up, hey, that might be a guy you want to take a look at replacing Brandon Graham.
I'll take a shot.
Watching that guy last night kill that tackle from Kansas City. He ran around him all night long.
He destroyed him. I would
even
definitely
Randy
take a
Gregory
shot.
showed up.
Yeah, right. Randy Gregory showed. I forgot they even had him on the roster. I forgot.
Me too. First two series, they both had sacks.
Yeah, yo, you know who was really playing out of their minds?
Man, Javon
Hargrave. Hargrave was
stopping the run
single-handedly.
He was. Did he get a fumble too? Or did he cause one?
A fumble recovery.
He got a fumble recovery in that. He was really good. And I thought that Armstead kid was good.
Yeah. Listen,
but then late in the third, the game changed when Mahomes took off.
The Niners did not take advantage of what their defense gave them in that first half.
Yep.
Their defense, they shot their load. Listen, you can't hold on but so long against Mahomes. You got to score enough points. And the Niners, the offense, they missed their mark.
I'll leave you with this comment when it comes to Alicia. Baby got
peanut butter.
How you doing?
Peanut butter.
Tone, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you as always, Sills.
You got it. That's our good friend Tone. And you're right. Some of you, I saw you say that it wasn't a great Super Bowl for about a quarter and 10 minutes. Then it started picking up. All right. Hit the like button. We'll reset. Keep it here on the National Football Show.